are Gathering of the Geeks, podcast and YouTube show built around the things we as geeks all love. Hashtag we gather on Sundays. Thank you for checking out the one with a bit of Superman talk. I am one of your hosts, Emmet, and I'm joined by the Ted Lasso and my coach, Beard. Chris, how's it going tonight?
Pretty good. How about you?
Doing well, doing well.
I always forget to do the tweet that we're live while the intro is on. And I just, as soon as we get on, oh yeah, we're live.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I forgot to create the show about 25 minutes ago. So,
if it were up to me, these would be created a minute before we started.
And I decided on a little bit of a topic right off the bat as I was typing out the title of the show, and just as per usual, folks, we're making this up as we go along.
We do what we can.
Yeah. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us. Hey, look, there's the man from the future in the comments on already. Aaron, how's it going? Phil, how's it going? Cookie, what's up today? Grabs and Eric as well. How's it going on this fine Sunday evening? Chris, what'd you get up to this week, man? How was your week, first of all?
It was a week. It was okay. No real complaints. You know what's funny is, so leading up to today, I was like, man, I did a lot of reading and a lot of watching. I was like, I got a lot of stuff. And I thought about it, I was like, no, wait a minute. I didn't really read anything or watch anything. What have I been doing all this week?
Yeah, exactly. What did I do?
I don't even know what I did this week. But it was a good week. As far as what I got into, though, I checked out that plush book that you and I talked about. The cover kind of sold me. I was like, hey, that looks interesting. I checked that out. And just kind of some back issues and stuff. Nothing really important or noteworthy, but I think plush is a conversation. You read that as well.
Yeah, I read it today. Okay. Why was it a book that you wanted to read? I know some of our friends had talked about it, but was the cover alone something you had noticed before? Okay.
No, just the cover. I was like, hey, that looks neat.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was going to be like I think it's called Willy's Wonderland, the Nicolas Cage movie where the animatronics come to life.
Nothing. Whatever you say.
Okay. Well, I thought it was going to be that. And then somebody said it was about furries. I was like, oh, okay. So they're not animatronics. They're furries. Okay. Well, I'm still with it. Mm-hmm. And then I read it and it's something, you know.
So it's from the creators of Vinyl, which we liked from a couple years ago, earlier this year. I don't really know.
I didn't even know it was part of that series. I just thought it's called Plush. Cool.
Yeah. It's tough really describing this first issue. What's this book about, Chris? Is it about a guy going through marital problems? Is it about people who eat people? Is it about some psychedelic dream states? Chris, what's this book about? As I'm reading it, I'm like, what is this book? What is this book trying to tell me? And in jumping off, it starts very strange, like the two people talking in the room, and they're talking about like people cheating or somebody's an asshole or something like that. I can't recall what it was. Yeah, everybody's an asshole. And then obviously it gets into the weird when they go to this furry party. I don't know what it is. And there's just like a hobo getting eaten in the alleyway. I'm not really sure. Again, Chris, talk me through a little bit about your experience reading this first issue.
First off, I'm here for the hobo getting eaten in the alley. That's what I signed up
for.
That was like, I didn't know that was going to happen. I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay, something neat is happening. A hobo's getting eaten by furries. I'm in. Before that, I don't get it. It seems to be one friend talking to the other, hey, my life is crap. What do I do? The other one's solution is, hey, be a furry with me tonight. Come to this party.
Sure.
Which is fine. I mean, hey, that's cool, I guess. But it takes a weird turn because I guess the friend B drugs friend A.
Yeah, he roofied me, he says.
Which is bizarre. Like, who does that to their friends unless it's like The Hangover and you're Alan? Spoiler alert if you have not seen The Hangover.
Spoiler alert for The Hangover.
Sorry. But, if that was one thing, like, okay, that's weird. And then you get to the hobo eating. That was weird. But I was like, okay, is this going to be like a murder mystery sort of thing? What's going on? And then I can't remember what happens toward the end of the book, except the creature thing comes to the door.
Okay, yeah. So that he gets taken to jail. He gets picked up, and I think this guy who the police officer is somehow related to the marital problems that they're having.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's his girlfriend's father. That's right.
Right. And then all of a sudden it turns in that they got him like strapped to a chair, but then it turns in they're going to rape him somehow. Is also into it.
No, that was a different character.
I thought that was the cops that were doing that.
They were doing that to a different character.
Okay. So there was still rape happening. Yeah, there was another guy strapped to a chair.
Were they going to do that?
He had tape over his mouth.
Talking about it is not making this book any better, and it's actually this is talking me out of reading the second issue because
it's not happening for me.
I was into the second. I was thinking, okay, I'll give it another shot, but now thinking about it, I don't think I will. I think we're done with it.
It's Aaron, you got it, man. And just talking about it, we're trying to talk about what the first issue is, and this is the areas that we're going on. Cops tied up the good cops so they could kill the guy in the cell, but not just kill though, right, Cookie? Other terrible, horrible, and very bad things. And that's the thing. It's like there's no straight line, which is fine. A book's allowed to be weird, confusing. It just this one took a lot of weird turns, and I don't know what the point of it and the weirdness to it wasn't a good kind of weirdness. Like I like weird, and even like I'm thinking of Twig. Obviously, it's on the far opposite side of the spectrum.
Phil is correct.
There's weird and there's fun and there's good and then there's weird and there's scary. This was not any of the good kind of weird for me. I don't even know if it was bad. It was just I have no idea why this book is like. I get it, it's an indie comic. You can make whatever book you want to make, and Image and all these. They just release 1,000 books a week. But I don't know what this book is for.
Hypothetically, if I were to release an indie book and I wanted to be a furry murder mystery book, I don't think this would be my approach, but that's just me.
No.
I do like the art.
There are ways of doing it.
Right. If that is your passion project, have at it. I support you, but this for me. This is not the way. Hashtag this is not good.
This is not the way.
If a twig ate hobos, I might. Come on now, Greg. You know what? Hold on. That's a technical foul. Come on now, Grabs.
Yeah, we should do. I like Cookie's hashtag here. This is not good. We should make that a thing.
This is not good.
This is hashtag. This is not good.
This is not good.
Anyway, plush is like everywhere though. Like it seems like this is like usually that's what happens. Like every couple weeks or every month, there's an Image book or Dark Horse or Valiant or Vault Aftershock book that comes out that kind of takes the indie comic world by storm, and this feels like this is that thing for a week anyways. I don't know how long it's going to last. We'll see what happens with issue 2, but I will not be jumping on the train of reading Plush issue 2, that's for sure.
You talked me out of it.
Yeah.
I didn't save. I tried to do the hashtag. Never mind, I'll do it later. So that's Plush number 1 in a nutshell. It's weird.
Yeah.
The art's cool. I don't know what i'll say about it.
Like the gore of that hobo getting eaten, like gruesome stuff.
That was cool.
Real good, real gruesome,
I like that.
Gruesome stuff. And
more of that.
Yeah. More of the hobos getting eaten. That's what I want to sign up for.
Flush plush. I like that. Talked me out of it too. Yeah. Sometimes you think, oh, I'll give it another shot. Then you hear yourself talk about like, wait a minute.
Yep.
No, I don't need to read any more of this, even if the art is pretty.
It's like these are the kind of books that give indie comics a bad name. It's just like, if somebody wants to pick up a pretty diehard Cape and Cowl reader, like, oh, I'll pick up an indie comic and see see what else is out there. They pick this up. Wow, that'd turn them off pretty hard.
I actually disagree with that.
Okay.
I think that this is this is a book for someone who does want something different. What this is, we don't know. But we know it's different.
I just don't know if it's the one. I don't know if this is the one to read.
For a neon horror book, there was very little horror. Just saying, this is correct. Because Because the one thing of the horror you do get is cool, but that's it.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that was the only book I read. Is well, anything notable as far as watching. I finally got a chance to watch some of the Newsreader, which is the series with Sam Reed, who plays Lestat in Interview with the Vampire.
It's the one where he plays a pirate?
No, I don't know what that one is.
I know what that pirate Sam Reed is.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious too, but I think I'll get to it.
Sure.
It seems like every time I like anything Interview with the Vampire Sam Reed related, my Twitter feed becomes that from other people.
Nothing wrong with that.
Right, so I've seen him in all kinds of roles at this point, just based on photos people post. But the Newsreader was pretty interesting. It's about a young news reporter who he's a producer, and he wants to be in front of the camera to do the news, the news broadcast, and he's just not very good at it. So it's an interesting watch. It's kind of funny.
Oh, I was going to say it's comedy, or
it's like a dramedy, I think is the term. It's pretty interesting so far. Good character work. I mean, Sam Reed is just. I think I just like him so much from the other show that now we are one.
How long ago did this come out?
2021. So I guess he filmed this and went directly into Interview with the Vampire.
That's pretty cool. Quite the switch in character, obviously.
Wildly different.
Yeah.
Wildly different. Dale is very friendly, very nice, not likely to slit your throat and laugh about it.
Yeah, exactly. And torment you while it happens.
Right. But I enjoyed it. It's actually free on the Roku channel. So if you have any kind of Fire Stick or Smart TV, whatever, if you download the Roku channel app, it's there. The only problem is it has a ton of commercials, and they come at the worst possible times because you could tell the show is not made for commercials. So like they'll cut it mid-sentence and go into a commercial. It's bizarre.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just reading Aaron's comment. Good stuff.
Yeah, Frank says, Cookie is spot on. I can't stand books that are supposed to be horror, but they end up being some soft shit. Uh-oh. The one with some Superman talk. Sweet Superman. Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yeah. That's how we roll here, Aaron. Just whatever comes to mind. That's how we do.
It gets the people going.
That's right.
So I watched Newsreader, which I'd recommend. It's interesting. Good cast. A lot of people we have never seen, and we probably won't again, other than Sam.
Other than Sam, yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's an Australian production. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah.
It takes place in Australia, which he is. And it's so weird to hear him not be French.
I was going to say, what accent is he using here?
His natural accent.
Okay.
Which is remarkably I guess I'm so used to hearing him speak a certain way that when I hear him speak normally, I still kind of hear him as Lestat.
Yeah. Australian outback Lestat.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm getting out of it. But so, yeah, I watched that. That was cool. And today I got to watch Bullet Train. This is what I want to talk about. Have you seen Bullet Train?
I have not.
Okay. Bullet Train was that Brad Pitt movie that came out a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Really entertaining. It's not like the best thing ever, but it doesn't have to be. It's just fun.
That from the trailers, that's what I got. It's like it's kind of a cool, fun action movie with some cool characters in it.
A lot of action, a lot of style, a little bit of substance.
Yeah. A lot of style.
A lot of style. It's all about style.
Right.
And the cast is really cool. Like Aaron Taylor Johnson is in it. And I think this movie solidified he is my number one pick for Bond, which will never happen. But he is my pick.
I hadn't thought about that one.
Well,
why not? Why wouldn't you think he'd get it?
Because the people who want it never get it.
It's true.
Like as soon as any actor throws their hat in the ring, like I want to be that character, never happens. For better or for worse, though, because I mean we did dodge the bullet with Tyrese as Green Lantern. So.
Green Lantern, yeah.
So far,
you never know. James Gunn's calling him. He's on speed dial.
There's still a chance.
That's right.
But that's just kind of how it goes. Anytime any actor publicly expresses interest, it's done. Like Daniel Radcliffe's Wolverine, done, not happening.
Did he said that? He said he wanted to be Wolverine? Or is that
he was in an interview with Sandra Bullock and she brought it up and he was like, well, call me or whatever. So
yeah.
not happening.
Yeah.
He's not getting the call.
No, he's not.
But anyway, so it has a really good cast. It's fun to watch. The
Mm.
only thing I will say, it's paced kind of strangely. I had to pause it at a point, and I thought the movie was almost over. But when I paused it, I saw it still had another hour left. I was like, what?
Hmm.
What else is going to happen in this movie?
So, like, at that moment, there was an action scene that felt like it was the final moment.
Yeah, it felt like we were getting close to the final moment of the movie.
Hmm.
But that was not the case.
Hmm.
Which is fine. I mean, I really enjoyed the way it ends anyway. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And Brad Pitt, I think maybe because he's not in as many happy movies, or a movie where he can be like a happy character, you kind of forget he's really charismatic.
Oh, yes.
And, once you get past the fact that he does not shower, he's pretty entertaining.
He doesn't in the movie either.
Well, probably not. He looks clean, but who knows?
So I like. I haven't seen the movie, so there's not much I can say. But I do want to. I have more James Bond stuff to talk about today for my watches. But maybe a little bit more on that Aaron Taylor Johnson talk about as Bond. So he's a younger guy. I think he is, anyways. He
32.
Seems like he's been around for a while. Is he more the Craig style, where you think he's more the action star, the brute, or do you think he's got that suave, sexy nature as well?
I think he'd be like a Brosnan.
Yeah,
like a Brosnan with maybe a little bit of the Craig and Connery type, but more Brosnan, which is kind of what I want at this point.
Mm-hmm. I hadn't even thought about that name, and maybe just because of the look and everything you see him in, he's always has a different look. He never looks like
he does. He
himself.
Always looks different.
Yeah.
In this one particularly, he's actually wearing a suit for most of the movie, so that also kind of clicks. Like, oh, he looks classy here. I like it.
Yeah, checked. Yeah. That's out on digital now?
It's on Netflix.
Okay. Oh, I'll have to see if it's on my Netflix then.
Yeah, I was browsing the other night. I was like, hey, Bullet Train's on here. Awesome. I'm going to make some time to watch that.
Nice.
So I instead of reading comics, I watched that today.
Yeah. Well, we were talking earlier today about what you had watched and what you had read and what I had read. And I looked at the releases for this week, and there wasn't a lot of books this week that came out. Like Plush had a lot of it. There's the Superman Kal-El Return special. But then I was looking ahead to next week, and next week has a lot of comic books that are coming out. So I don't know if there was a lot of books that were in our wheelhouse, I guess, or our interest level, because it feels like they're trying to get the last little couple books before Christmas, and I feel like maybe that's this week and maybe next week, before it's too late to go into a shop for Christmas this year or whatever. So late. Yeah, that's true. So I feel like next week is a big comic week. There's a whole bunch that come out next week, and this week was just a little bit lighter because I only read Plush because you mentioned it, and you mentioned the Superman Kal-El Returns special book that was out this week, and then I read that because you mentioned it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have read anything this week. So I didn't read anything else this week other than that Superman one. But I started watching after we had talked about last week. We talked about the Brosnan Bond films. So that I was going to watch the Craig ones, and I did. I'm about 25 minutes left of No Time to Die. Couldn't finish it before the show started. One thing that I thought about after watching the Craig ones is the directors of the movies. Martin Campbell directed Casino Royale. Mark Foster did Quantum of Solace, and then Sam Mendes did Spectre and Skyfall. And then I cannot pronounce the gentleman's name who did No Time to Die. Carrie, thank you. I wonder about, and mostly I'm thinking about that Skyfall Spectre thing with two directed by the same person. And I was talking about last week when I was talking about the Brosnan ones, how much I liked that each movie felt like its own thing. And more or less the styles of the Craig movies are the same, but they are directed by different people overall other than Spectre and Skyfall. But what do you think about the idea, Chris, of there being one voice for the next couple Bond films? They don't have to be, and we talked about this with the Brosnan stuff about how I want, and I think you kind of agreed a little bit, but you do like the storyline of the Craig ones, but you're okay with Brosnan type movies where there's one and there's another one. They don't connect to each other. But what do you think about an overarching James Gunn? I guess somebody looking after the entire series, telling one long thematic storyline. I guess is what I'm thinking. What do you think about that kind of idea? Yeah,
that'd be fine. I'm pretty, as long as it's good, I'm open to whatever it is. Sure. I just want good content. If they would get one director to helm like 6 of them or 4 of them, whatever, that's cool with me. Because like Martin Campbell did do Goldeneye as well.
Yeah.
So he's 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Mendez is 2 for 2, depending on how you look at it. Because I don't hate Spectre. But yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was so interesting because I thought that Mendez directed the last 3. Until I started to watch No Time to Die with Carrie directing it. That's such a, I don't know if it's a bold move or not, but it feels bold to give, somebody who hadn't directed a Bond film to Carrie after Sam Mendes did Skyfall and Spectre. Pretty strong, Bond films overall. I think that's a bold move on its own.
Well, the original director for No Time to Die dropped out because he didn't want to be bothered with the ending.
Sure.
It was Danny Boyle, I believe.
Right.
Of 28 Days Later fame, which are fantastic films. But yeah, he dropped out because he didn't want to bother with the ending. He didn't like the idea of it. And so they said, well, we're going to find somebody who will. And they did.
Sure. It certainly, it might be the best looking of the Craig films. Anyway, so it's been quite the trip watching the Craig films after watching the Brosnan ones. Because I had sour feelings about Quantum of Solace and of Spectre. And I more or less thought that the Craig films went up and down with each one.
They did.
With Casino Royale and then dip with Quantum and then up with Skyfall and then down with Spectre. But, in watching them right in a row, it is quite the experiment, much like the Brosnan ones, like I was saying. I don't know if the dips are that far off from the highs. I think Quantum of Solace is actually quite good. And, we talked about it a little bit with the writers' strike that affected that one. And then watching Spectre again, I don't like Blofeld. I don't like Christoph Waltz's Blofeld at all, really. But I don't think the valleys are as far away from the peaks as most people do think.
I agree with that. I think that it's just the ones people really, really like, they put up really high. And it's hard to say, well, okay, this is an average Bond film. Right. Because you have Casino Royale, which is a Bond masterpiece, in my opinion. You have Skyfall, another one. So in between there, it's kind of, well, how do we get here? And then you have Spectre, which again, how do we get here? And then, No Time to Die. I think that's what it is, though. Just the ones that people like, they really, really like.
I agree.
I love this comment from Frank. I wouldn't mind an elderly Bond living with regrets and trying to set them right, then he dies. And Eric had a good reply to that. It reminds him of King of Spies, which is spot on. That would be really cool to see in live action, though. Especially if they got like Brosnan to do it.
Okay, we were just talking about the Aaron Taylor Johnson. Oh, that'll never happen. Like that's a fan casting that if it happened, people would be like, oh, that makes 100% complete sense. That just makes total sense. And the King of Spies thing with Pierce Brosnan, especially when you see him in Black Adam, like he's got the gray, he's nice fancy hair, he's wearing nice suits sometimes. Like it makes total sense for that to happen.
Also, Grabs has a good idea. I want this elderly Bond Frank is talking about, but I want an ending with him in a nursing home chasing elderly women and unsure if he was senile for decades. I like that idea too. Yeah. It'd be cool if it was all in his head, like everything he ever did was in his head. That would be pretty cool.
What is
and
this?
Blofeld like his doctor.
Here?
Maybe it is. Yeah. I might be blending things, much like Mark Spector does, who's also a good man.
So that comment that Frank put up about the elderly Bond and then he dies at the end. Realistically, does that make sense for the next movie? No. So I guess that's my thought about the Bond universe. If
I was to say, I think it'd be good like as an Elseworld, like kind of the way the original Casino Royale movie is.
Right. Yeah. Peter Sellers. Yeah.
Right. Or Never Say Never Again. Something like that.
Yeah.
Or just do like you can make it clear this is a one-time thing.
And that's the thing about like the idea of it. It doesn't have to. I don't think they're making it a franchise. You know, so there's the possibility so much, so many possibilities they could do where you don't cast one Bond. You know, like, hey, let's cast Harry Styles for the next 15 years.
Hey,
No,
let's
let's
not.
cast. I know that, but let's do a movie with this person, and then okay, that was good. Let's do another movie with this person. It's just there's so many interesting ways that they can go with it.
I think so too. It's going to be interesting going forward because it's such a high-profile franchise, and they put so much care into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited. Zeddy says, I think there needs to be a slightly younger Bond this time around. Let him question the life he's chosen along the way. Every Bond has been roped into the life right away, which is why we should get Harry Styles. That's what we deserve. Ethan Hawke as Blofeld, and Denzel Washington as the villain. Not a bad cast here.
Well, that and then we talked about that a little bit last week with the Brosnan one about just the idea of the cast of the next Bond franchise is going to be so interesting, and you can feel the weight on the creators already.
Oh yeah,
like it's like I don't know. Is it the most highest profile casting of any movie character? Like, is this bigger than the next casting of Batman or Superman or anyone? Is Bond more important? This is a kind of a funny question to ask, but is Bond more important?
Question.
Yeah, is Bond more important in the movies than some of the biggest characters in movies? But it's not just Bond. M, Moneypenny, Q. Like it's just this never ending with the highest profile of characters that the Bond has. Like just the casting process seems so daunting already, and such a big make or break thing already. We know, like, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember what it was like when Craig was cast?
Yeah, people hated
it. Yeah, so
he's blonde. Why is Bond blonde?
Right, the blonde Bond. So that happens with everything. So I assume it'll happen again with that happens with every casting ever with our most popular most popular characters in movies. So it's just the casting process for Bond is just so fascinating to me.
I think the whole process of not just Bond, but any big franchise, like when you approach it, how do these studios and these filmmakers, how do they really know what they're doing? Or are they just winging it, hoping for the best? How does this work? Because I imagine it's just a ton of pressure. Zeddy says, keep an eye on Diego Calva. He's on Babylon. Or he's in Babylon. Yeah, I've heard a lot about him.
The movie Babylon? Is that what we're talking about?
MGM owns Bond. Amazon owns MGM. Bond meets Jack Reacher. Bond helps the boys. Grab says maybe Vader for the prequel. Do you mean Bond versus Vader? Like a space...
The wrestler?
Well, he's passed away.
Yeah, I know that.
Well, I was thinking for a second, like, that'd be interesting. Like, if he was a Bond villain, that'd be cool. A young Bond sounds silly. What skills and life experience can he possibly have? Yeah, I think that's why, for me, if he's under 30, it doesn't exactly make sense, but I'll watch it.
Who's the youngest Bond that they've had? Who is the youngest in the movies? Not the actor, maybe, but
I think
who felt the youngest?
I think it would be Daniel Craig in Casino Royale.
Yeah.
And even he's clearly like 40, I think, in that movie, 35, 40. Right. Bond and Jack Ryan. That's why younger Bond is fascinating to me. Batman Year One. Scrutiny for casting.
Yeah, it's a tough thing where the Frank's comments about the young Bond. Bond is Bond because he's James Bond, not because he's becoming James Bond. This would be a good one. The man who knew too little crossover. Yeah, like you were talking about Casino Royale. He's not Bond yet, but he still feels like James Bond. So it is an interesting thing to I don't know if we want to see, like, I'm thinking of the Kingsman with what's his name, Taron Egerton, where he's like a young guy and he goes to school and he learns how to be like. I don't think we want that aspect of it. Like, we don't want young Indiana Jones. I don't think. We still want James Bond to feel like James Bond, and I wonder how you can do that, like Frank is saying, without his experiences as 007.
I don't know. I think as long as he's already an agent, it'd be okay. I think that may be the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you show him like becoming an agent, yeah, no, I don't want that.
Right.
Like I don't want him in spy school. No.
Right. Yeah.
Harry Potter kind of. No, we're not doing that. Lauren just came in from bowling, and Grab's response is, "Hope he didn't strike your family."
Ooh. What is that? Eric take over his account?
I don't know. We got two, or maybe we have our own Punisher.
Oh, nice.
That might be what it is. Grab is our Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get them in a room together and see what happens. I think people might pay to watch that.
Yeah. The other thought that I had about the Craig ones is when I was watching Spectre, how much I enjoyed there being a henchman again. You know,
yeah,
Batista,
it's Batista.
You know, Batista as the henchman, as you know, just like he doesn't really do much. Like he does. What does he say? He has one word or two words that he says. Oh shoot! He says, "Oh shoot."
I don't remember him speaking.
Yeah, when he's getting thrown out the train, he's got the Bond wraps the keg things to his legs, and he gets dragged out the train. He is, "Oh shoot!" He says it in a weird kind of voice. And he's got the cool like the thumbnails. He's got the weird thing that makes him a funny looking henchman. It's just, you know, as I was talking about it with the Brosnan things, and I was getting into the Craig things, how I wanted to feel more Bond. And you mentioned it with No Time to Die when there was more of the gadgets and stuff. The Spectre movie with obviously Blofeld attached as well, obviously one of Bond's greatest villains and all that kind of stuff, felt like the introduction of a little bit more of that Bond stuff with the henchman, with Blofeld and everything. So I just like having a henchman. I think, and as I'm watching No Time to Die, Safin doesn't come in. You don't see him until an hour and 45 minutes, maybe 2 hours into the movie. Like you see him at the start of the movie, but he's got a mask on. But you see his face the first time in the office, the doctor's office with Madeline. He's there for 45 seconds, and then you see him again in the woods. It feels like having that extra villain, whether it be the henchman or whatever, introduced it much earlier was kind of a cool thing. I like that about Spectre.
Yeah, I like having the extra adversary,
Yeah.
And someone else for Bond to kind of fight with.
Mm-hmm. And I like the quirkiness of the henchman too. There's always something about it, right? Like
they're never just a regular dude. It's always
but he has metal nails on his thumbs, like just make any sense.
Pretty unique.
Yeah.
Pretty unique stuff. Hey Travis, he finished your Superman discussion and he liked it.
Oh well, you can say thanks to Zeddy in the comments there, Travis. He set it all up. Thank you so much for saying so. Zeddy's the man. He set that all up, and he kind of initiated my Superman thoughts for a little bit later on. So thanks so much for saying so. We finished Wednesday as well.
Okay.
We finished Wednesday, and I as I did with another Jenna Ortega movie that came out this year with Scream, I'd like to toot my own horn in saying that I picked Christina Ricci being the bad person, the villain, right from the first episode.
I didn't know we were spoiling it.
It's been out for how long? Spoiler alert. Where's Grabs? Sorry.
I didn't think about it. A week and a half? I don't know.
I apologize. No, it's more than that. We talked about it last week.
Did we?
That would be 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, same for me though. I did figure it out also.
Yeah. Anyways, I did like in those last 2 episodes that it still kept you guessing a whole bunch, though.
It did. Very twisty.
With the inclusion of the extra villain, or I should say. Yeah, Cookie, I apologize. Anyways, if you haven't watched Wednesday, if you care to now, it's a very good show, and it's also doing absolute gangbusters. So I read as well. It was watched more than Stranger Things.
Wasn't that something?
I couldn't believe it. The biggest show in the world, basically, Stranger Things. I was quite surprised, I was trying to think about why that is, Chris. The Addams Family, the movies are 20 years old now. There hasn't been,
roughly.
There was the cartoon ones. There was a newish TV show, which was 15 or so years ago, and then there's obviously the very, very old one. So I don't know if it was the Addams Family effect. I don't know if it was the Jenna Ortega effect. Tim Burton, what do you think? What do you think the reason for Wednesday being so popular is?
I think like a perfect storm because you had Jenna Ortega, who's kind of blowing up.
Yeah, she's like, it's incredible. The year I can't just the year she had is incredible.
Also, her favorite comic book character is Damian Wayne, so she has great taste.
Oh, I love her even more now.
Yeah, Damian. Who doesn't love Damian?
Well,
He's
there's
the
a
best.
laundry list, I'm sure.
Well, yeah. But anyway, I think it's her. I think Wednesday and the Addams Family are just so popular,
Yeah.
and they're always in the zeitgeist because you have, like I said, there's the two cartoons which are for children and adults can watch it. I don't think that there's been a period where there hasn't really been something Addams Family available to anybody. Because before the two animated films, there was the movies, of course, which there was even direct to DVD or VHS at the time movies. There was an animated series. So this thing is
I forgot about that animated show.
Yeah, Addams Family is always around. There's even video games. So I think it just that's why it's so big. Also, it's much more accessible than Stranger Things.
Really?
Like I think so, because Stranger Things is more straight horror in a lot of ways. Like, and there's also a lot more adult themes in Stranger Things.
I gotcha.
Where I think Wednesday you could watch with the whole. You did. You could watch with the whole family, and there's nothing like, too iffy.
Yeah, and even the stuff that is iffy is just a little bit over the line. I'm thinking with the monster or whatever. There is blood, but it's not like in your face. There's no limbs getting cut off and a head rolling down a hill or whatever. But then there's just that quirkiness, and you described it as Harry Potter versus meets Mean Girls, and it's a perfect comparison. That's exactly what it is. And it's got that weird Tim Burton stuff as well. And you mentioned it to me, and we talked about this last time. We talked about how it didn't feel like a Tim Burton, something. No. Or the typical Tim Burton, and you had talked about that the ones that aren't directed by Tim Burton feel like the most Tim Burton. I forget the director of the last two episodes. His last name's Marshall. I apologize on his, but I was quite surprised after that the penultimate episode. I'm like, oh, it's not directed by Tim Burton,
right?
Like I was like, what's happening here? It's just like the switch is very seamless, but also the idea where I thought like Tim Burton was very heavy into this show. I thought he directed the whole thing, and for him not to direct the penultimate and then the season finale was quite surprising to me. But the quality is still there, and I was quite surprised about that. But the lack of Tim Burton in the season finale, but you can still feel it.
I love that the dance scene has become such a huge deal.
So good.
Yeah, like when I was watching it, like I didn't expect it, of course. So when you see it happen, like what is going on, and then of course it's great. And you find out afterward, like if you watch behind the scenes, that was all Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, she stole it from some videos that she had watched.
Some of it, yeah. And then she took I didn't know this thing existed. There's a scene from the original Addams Family series where Wednesday does a dance.
Yeah, she does that little jig or whatever it is.
Right,
yeah.
And she incorporated it into the show. It's amazing.
So good. Yeah, I saw a quick clip of the dance scene before I saw it in the episode. And I didn't finish watching it. I just knew that it was a thing. But then actually to see what the dance scene is, or even what you're expecting the dance scene to be, it just it's completely on the opposite side of that, which I thought was very interesting because it's like 7 different dances in 30 seconds.
And the song is bizarre also.
Yeah, it's not a song with her moves even make sense to. Anyway, yeah.
Never thought I'd ever find the character Wednesday hot, but Ortega is a babe. It's all over TikTok. I'm not mad about it. There's one video in particular that did a great job recreating it and kept Ortega's energy without making it too dancey. I'd like to see that. Send it to me if you have it handy later. That's what makes the dance even more impressive. It's like my key take turns not work. I can't read right now. It's like my key take turns not working. It's Dance Dance Revolution. Yeah, the song is fun. It's saying I'm a teenage Goo Goo Muck. Yeah,
I think that's what it is.
That's what it is. I had to Google to see what that is. There's 2 very different answers for what it is. So everybody have had a Google search later.
Yeah, Google Muck.
Right. Have a good time. It's 2 different things, but it's a fun song. And apparently all their music sounds like that. And on TikTok, they have most people are dancing to the Lady Gaga song. What is it called?
Bad Romance.
No.
Just Dance.
No.
Poker Face.
No.
Telephone.
No. Statement. No, something Mary. Bloody Mary. That's what it's called.
Fine.
I should know.
I don't know that. I don't know that one.
You do if you. I think you probably will if you know it.
Probably would if I heard it. Yeah.
It's catchy. Very catchy, but anyway.
I was not expecting the show to be what the show was. Also with Wednesday, I think maybe I had watched one trailer for it. Yeah,
as you should not.
Yeah,
but no, it's not as bad as Chainsaws.
I wonder about your expectations for the show, Chris. And did you know about the story? Did you know it was a murder mystery? Did you know the lack of the Addams family in the show? What were your expectations really going into the show, Chris? For me, I wasn't expecting the murder mystery aspect of the show. I was expecting the quirky coming of age type of story, just going to a school and never going to school. But I wasn't expecting the murder mystery aspect to it, which I thought was really interesting. And they do very much tease they season 2 with where they go, and I wonder if they can change it up somehow and not have just the same old thing, different setting or whatever. But I thought that the idea for the show was quite fresh for the character, for the Addams family.
I agree. I think I'd only seen one trailer, and I think it was a trailer that showed nothing. It was like the announcement trailer, so I had no idea what it was when I sat down to watch it. I assumed that it was Wednesday just going to school and coming home.
Yeah, I expected there to be a lot more home.
Right. I thought that was just a school she goes to anyway, because it just kind of made sense to me. Okay, she's going to this Harry Potter academy. She's going to come home. But or Hogwarts. But that's not really what it was. So the whole thing was a surprise to me. Also, I thought it was interesting. Thora Birch was originally cast for Christina Ricci's role, or a version of Christina Ricci's role, but she had to drop out during filming. So I think they had to redo a bunch of it with Christina Ricci.
That would have been interesting. Thora Birch is good.
I prefer Christina Ricci, though.
Well, and it makes sense, too, obviously, when I obviously just ruined the plot or the ending to the whole show.
It kind of did, but that's okay.
Thanks for Cookie being the only one that called me out on that. But it's just an interesting full circle thing, obviously. And, you mentioned it, Chris, about the idea about her going home. We should have seen it. The show was called Wednesday. But the boldness not to overly rely on the Addams family. Obviously, Thing is a huge part of the show, and the entirety of the Addams family does make an appearance overall through the season. But just the heavy reliance on Wednesday as a character, I couldn't commend more. And obviously, Jenna Ortega is she's not Christina Ricci as Wednesday, and I think that also really helps. She's not just playing Christina Ricci.
No, but I feel like you could see how that version would grow into this one.
Well, and they even do that, like they show the scene with her and the Scorpion. Like, oh yeah, that's Christina Ricci for sure. And you can see the growth. So I do agree with that. Yes,
I like that. Grabs makes a great point here. I almost didn't want to think a season 2 of Only Murders in the Building could be good. I was wrong on that, and now trust creative people with those decisions. I don't know why I can't talk again. I'm with Grabs, though. I'm in for whatever they want to do, although I'm with Frank, too. They're going to try some weird spin-off that nobody wants.
Yeah.
Like an Xavier show or some bullshit.
I see, and that I agree with you that they could do that. They could do a Nevermore show where Wednesday is off doing her own thing, and they could just do the characters with like the sirens, and Enid could be part of it. And like
I'd still watch it, honestly.
I would too, but like the oversaturation of the show is not what I want. That's what made the show so special, because it felt like going into it that it wasn't going to be a smash hit. It felt like it was going to be a more niche type of thing.
Monsters.
Yeah. No. Yes. Is that niche? I don't know if that's even niche.
Niche for crap.
Yeah. Hashtag this is not good.
But no, I'm with you. I thought it wasn't going to be like a huge success. I thought it was going to be kind of like a quiet thing that people just like. So I'm surprised.
I am surprised, and I'm happily surprised, and I do want to see more. So If you haven't watched it, even if you're not a fan of the Addams Family, I still think there's some enjoyment to be had, for sure.
I agree.
But anything else you want to talk about before we talk about kind of our makeshift main topic today, Chris?
No, I like the Blue Beetle poster. We had some cool trailers this week.
Yeah, we got 3 trailers from CCXP.
Yes.
We got the Guardians trailer, we got the Indy trailer, and we got the what's the third one that we got?
Indiana Jones.
Indy, Guardians,
and was that it?
Oh, no, Transformers. There was one more. Transformers, Beast Wars one. What would you think about those ones?
Well, before we do that, did you watch Willow?
I haven't seen the movie from forever ago. I don't know if I can. Cookie, let me know if I can watch it without having watched the movie.
Me too.
I haven't watched the show.
The trailers. So the trailer I liked the most was Guardians. Beast Wars or whatever it's called, the Transformers thing. Optimus Prime is finally in something. So that's cool. But the trailer did like nothing for me. I don't think I'm a big enough Transformers fan to care about Beast Wars, and I don't understand what I'm looking at.
Sure.
Like I get the Transformers are in various objects, like a vehicle or a boombox. Nobody says that anymore, but
nice pull.
I know. But that's what I think of. And then I saw there was a gorilla and a cheetah. Well, how did that work? And how does nobody realize this is a robot gorilla?
Sure. So I don't know how it works in the movie. In the TV show,
Cocaine Bear too.
Yeah, the Transformers. They call them. Well, there's Predacons and
Decepticons. Autobots?
No, they're called something else in the show. Predacons and I can't remember. Anyways, they go to Earth like when the cavemen are there. So there are no cars. There are no vehicles. There are no boomboxes. There's only animals. There's only dinosaurs. And that's how they do it. And there's not actual dinosaurs. There is skeletons and DNA of dinosaurs. And they scan, and that's how they become animals.
So it's like Jurassic Park with Transformers.
Sure. And doesn't that sound like the best thing ever?
It does, but I don't think I want to watch it.
So I don't know how it works in the movie. I don't know how it works. Like you said, you can see Optimus Primal is what he's called.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I don't know how it works in the movie, but that's how it works in the show. Is the Transformers show up in caveman days where there are no electronics.
I didn't know that because, like I said, I just assumed they come to Earth and they see something. Okay, I want to be that, and then they're that. Yep. So I was curious, exactly how it works. When you see the gorilla running around or the cheetah, how can you not tell that is a robot?
Yep. Yeah, like there's rhinoceros, like you said, a cheetah. There's a rat. There's multiple spiders. There's a T-Rex. There's a pterodactyl, black widow, white tiger. There's a falcon, a bird, a whole bunch of different kinds. Just like there is with a whole bunch of different cars in Transformers. So.
I don't know if I'll watch it. I might. The trailer just. Did you like the trailer?
I love the trailer. I thought it was a lot of fun. I don't know who said it on Twitter, but like 2.5 or like 2 Transformers movies are good or watchable or not the watchable, but that I watched. I feel like I dropped off after whichever one the night one is and whichever one Mark Wahlberg was in.
He's in.
I think I watched. He's in the night one. Okay, I think I watched Bumblebee. I think I liked it, but I don't really remember much of it.
Okay.
It's just such a weird franchise, much like the Fast and the Furious movies. Like they're not really great movies, but they make tons and tons of money. So I don't know what they were thinking with this one. I don't know if they're introducing a whole bunch of new human characters.
It's a reboot.
It is a reboot. Okay.
It's a reboot.
I didn't know that.
I've seen a lot of Transformers fans excited about it, which I think is great because it seems like they're finally getting the movie they want to get. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Perhaps not like Bumblebee. Oh, that's the only one he did like is Bumblebee. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that too, that Bumblebee is like the best of them, but I've only seen a little bit of it. I might have to fix that.
I can't remember it.
I know you were big on the Indiana Jones trailer.
Yeah, I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan. Not a huge Kingdom of the Crystal Skull fan, which is the fourth one.
I like it.
Yeah. I'm very skeptical on it. I think it was Carlos who made a joke on the Superman stream that Zeddy had last week about it looked like Harrison Ford has walked out of retirement home. He's walked out of the grave to film this movie. He's just old, and he was old in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's just I don't know if it'll. And this obviously Spielberg's not directing this one. I'm okay with that. James Mangold is directing it. He's great. Just very skeptical about it. But as the trailer is playing along, they're obviously selling us on the fact that Indy's old. But like when the music starts to hit and we start to get the John Williams theme, it's just like, man, this feels good. It feels right. There's just something about the Indiana Jones theme that I enjoy so much. I like seeing Sala back in the movie again, who was in Raiders and The Last Crusade, who is Indy's friend, Jonathan Rhys Davis, who plays Gimli. Okay. So I like seeing him back in it. Yeah. So I like seeing him in it, and I'm interested in the Phoebe Waller-Bridge character, who I guess I think in the trailer they say she's Indy's granddaughter or goddaughter. Thank you. Anyway, so I'm interested in it. I have been interested in it because Indiana Jones is one of my favorite film franchises of all time, and the music is iconic, and it just hits you in the feels about seeing Indy whip around with his bullwhip. So I'm interested, very, very interested, but also very skeptical about it as well, because I was really high on going into Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and after the first quarter of that movie, and then with the 3/4, I did not enjoy that movie at all. So I'll very much see it. I won't go to the theater, but I'll definitely be interested in watching it as soon as I can.
Sounds good to me. I don't know if I'm going. I'm sure I'll probably see it, but I just haven't seen the other one. So to me, it was just kind of.
You haven't even seen Raiders? I'm surprised you haven't seen Raiders.
I've seen the first one. I've seen Crystal Skull. So I've seen both ends of the spectrum, I guess, as far as Indiana Jones movies are concerned.
Yep.
And I like both of them. It's just I haven't seen what's in the middle of them.
Right.
So I will probably get around to doing like a full Indiana Jones watch, and I'll catch up with it.
Right on.
And I didn't know it comes out 3 weeks before The Flash. That's going to be fun.
Well, that was the thing that you and I had talked about this week. Like the trailers that came out this week are setting us up for the summer next year. And yes. It's already hitting us like, oh man, there's stuff coming next year that is going to be here very soon and is very, very exciting.
It's going to be a good year, I think.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about that good year. Zeddy had this great stream on the Vigilante 1939 YouTube channel that I would suggest you please go and watch. Zeddy put a lot of heart into putting it together, and he did an absolute outstanding job hosting. There was Carlos from the Nerd Room, Javi from Bond Is Not Enough and Batman on Film. There was Mario Robles from Superman on Film. And there was Mr. C from 1939, Vigilante 1939, and me. And he just wanted to talk Superman. And it got me thinking about Superman. We didn't talk a lot about it on the show, but Superman in comics, which I want to talk a little bit about. But Chris, I don't know how much we've talked about Superman on this show in particular. You have done the World's Finest with Eddie, talking about Superman and Lois. So you kind of talked a little bit about Superman on there. So I know Superman's going through some wild changes right now, but what's your interest level? What's your appreciation level for Superman as a character? Obviously going into 2023, where there are 3 major mainline Superman stories coming. I don't know how much you read the comics now, if any of them. Just kind of talk me through a little bit of your Superman appreciation, Chris, if you do have any.
Yeah, I like Superman a lot. I like him a lot more now than I used to. Man of Steel, I've said it before, is what made me a Superman fan. I watched that. I went back and read Superman comics. Before that, I hadn't cared or wanted to read anything Superman. But I try to keep up the Superman books as much as I can. But there's a lot of them, and there's a lot going on in them. So it's just kind of one of those things. When I can read one, I'll read it. I know what's going on in them, of course. And I'm very excited that they're separating Clark and John and giving them each their own books next year. I'm very excited to read both of those. So that's kind of where my level is with it.
Yeah, so next year there's the 3 titles for Superman. There's going to be the Action Comics, obviously, which kind of kicks off with Action Comics 1050, which is at the end of this month.
Yes.
And then 1051 is in January. And then there's going to be Superman #1 that comes in February. And then there's the Adventures of Superman, John Kent, that comes sometime in early 2023. So I agree with you that it is nice to see more Superman content.
It is.
There was all this talk about, the Son of Kal-El story from Tom Taylor ending at issue 18, but obviously he's telling more John Kent stories overall. And, as I talked about on the stream with Zeddy, just having more Superman content is something I think people should be excited about. I think the character of Superman, absolutely, Glenn, very good. That different.
I forgot about that one.
There's more, and it's not just not just Clark and John. There's just so much more, and that's what I want. I want more. People complain about DC Comics. What do they complain about? Oh, it's just another Batman book. Here comes another Batman book. And I feel like Superman should be that too. I think a happy day would be if people complained about, there being another Superman book.
I agree with that.
So
there's room for both.
I agree. There's room for both, and they're the 2 top tier for DC, and into the movies as well. Chris, you talked often about how Man of Steel with Henry Cavill is your first real. It's not, I guess, your introduction, because I don't know if you saw the Reeves one before Man of Steel.
I'd seen pieces of the first 2, but I saw Superman Returns in theaters.
Right. Oh, Superman! I actually like Superman Returns.
I don't mind it. I like Ryan Routh a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of Man of Steel as well. It's my favorite Superman movie, and I'm okay with the Henry Cavill thing. Obviously, people say he's not my Superman. I like Henry Cavill a lot, but I like the character of Superman more or less more. Very good, Glenn. I like the idea of having more Superman. If that means more Henry Cavill and Man of Steel type movies, or they go in a completely different way, which is obviously being talked about a lot right now. But I'm just excited about Superman content, Chris. I'm excited about the comic books, and I'm excited about more movies coming. Wherever, and I'm not sure. Maybe you can fill me in when Superman and Lois is coming back. I'm excited about more Superman stuff.
I don't know when Superman and Lois is coming. I know they're filming right now, so hopefully. Well, I'm assuming it'll be kind of like last year, where it'll be early 2023, because that's the way the second season was. It was early in the year. I really missed that show. I love Tyler Hoechlin as Superman. He is fantastic. But I'm also just really excited to have Superman content, because I agree with you. When it comes to DC, in my opinion, there's 3 characters you think of: Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. And they should all 3 of them should be thriving on paper, on film, wherever. We should have content with them. And each of them, all 3 of them, have these supporting characters and families that you could build out too. Diana has Nubia and Yara. Batman has way too many people to name right now. We'll be here all night.
That's right.
For the man who thinks he's always alone, he's a loner, but he has the biggest people. Anyway. And then like Clark has Kara, he has John, and if you want to bring Jordan from the show, you got that too. So I think there's just enough room to have all these characters, and people like quality stuff. If you write a good Superman book, people are going to read it. So they've attached some great writers to these books, and I really think 23 is going to be a year where people talk Superman comics more than Batman comics. Also,
that would be interesting.
I think some of us, as much as we love Batman, we're not against a break.
No. We talked about that. I don't know if you and I had talked about that. There was a conversation having when after Joker War, when it felt like the Joker was going away for a while. And be like, I hope there's a break from the Joker for a little bit. Put him away. And obviously there wasn't. There was multiple books after that, and then it never stopped. So I do think people are okay with having breaks of certain characters when other characters get more of the spotlight as well.
Well, if you tell a compelling story with a different character, nobody's going to say, "Hey, where is so and so?" Like I'm reading the Ron B. detective book. I don't care where the Joker is.
Yeah, exactly.
I really don't. I have Two-Face, I have Talia, and some other people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with that.
Yep.
Even in the Zdarsky run, I don't care where the Joker is.
Nope.
So I think that's the key. Tell good stories. People will read them, and you don't have to. They don't need to be in bubbles. Like Clark can only do this because they just took in the War World and it killed.
Yeah, I was going to say he did one of the strangest things for Superman comics in so long, just to leave Earth and have his son be the Superman. So they can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I wasn't a big fan of Future State. I know we've talked about that, but I think there were two great things to come out of it. One of them was War World and the Jonathan Kent thing.
Yep.
The other thing was Jace's Batman or Tim Fox.
Yeah.
So I think going forward, you that proves a point. If it's good writing, people will read it. And that also translates to other mediums because, you look again at Superman and Lois. Whoever thought Superman on film with a child would work, let alone two kids?
Yeah, two of them, yeah.
And I love Superman and Lois. And it works because the family dynamic. And that's another thing where Superman can excel, which you can't do with Batman because he's not that guy. Where Superman brings that wholesome family vibe to comics. Like, yeah, we're superheroes, but we're also a family.
Yeah, that's my favorite part about the Superman that's happening right now is the family aspect of it for sure. And I like that 20 in 23, like you're saying, they're taking the Superman character in a different direction from what we've seen even from this year. Clark's back. And Glenn made the comment in the comments about the return of Clark Kent. Brian Michael Bendis revealed in his run of Superman or Action, I don't remember, that Superman revealed himself to the world as Clark Kent. And in Action Comics 1050, we will see how that is changed somehow. They're not sticking with that idea.
I didn't like that idea.
And I think when people read Action Comics 1050, they will see that DC didn't like that idea either. And they were just kind of doing, Brian Michael Bendis coming over, big name, trying to make his stamp on things. I think DCC's for 2023, they're putting the spin of Superman on Superman. It's going to feel like Superman. It's going to feel like the character. Again, even though there is 3 different titles, and even though obviously going to tell different stories, but it's going to be really interesting, reading a Superman book where it feels like this is the Superman people want to read.
I think so too. I agree with that. It's like status quo. You're bringing them back to status quo, but you're adding some new stuff.
So that is Superman Comics. A little look ahead. 2023 is going to be a very interesting year for Superman in the comics, but also I think for the movie side, we're going to hear a lot of news about what's happening, what DC is going to be doing with Superman on screen as well. So I'm really interested to see it. It's a cool time to be a Superman fan, even just a little bit of one. Where that's very much where I am. I'm not a die-hard Superman fan. I just very much enjoy the stories, and it's just really exciting to be in a time like this where there's going to be 3 pretty hot and pretty heavily marketed Superman stories. So I'm excited for that.
We're also going to likely get some Superman film news, I would imagine, next year.
Yep.
He'll be appearing in that game, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, holy cow! I had a thought about that when James Gunn saying, "Oh, we're telling the biggest story over video games, over movies and TV shows."
Well,
how is this going to work? I wonder how that's going to work into their story. I guess whatever comes out in 2023 for movies and comics and video games is kind of moot because it seems like obviously they're going to be telling their own story. But it's just an interesting thought about the Suicide Squad versus the Justice League, how that works.
And it's set in the Arkham universe, so it gets a little trickier there. But so we'll see him in games, we'll see him in comics, and I'm sure we'll get some kind of movie news, which would be great also. I think a lot of people want that. I'm one of those.
I guess we're assuming that Superman and Lois is coming back in 2023 at some point, right? If they're
they're filming it so. Well, no, I think you might hear about like March or something, maybe before that.
Nice. Okay,
Because
good.
they had some, production issues with having to recast Jonathan.
Right.
The new kid though looks exactly like the comic Jonathan Kent, which is kind of
Oh,
amazing.
he doesn't have the weird curly hair, or is that the right guy, or is that the other one? No, that's Jordan. Jonathan's the other.
Jordan is the one that looks like Frodo. Jonathan looks kind of like, he reminds me of Beavis.
I get it. Yeah, he's got the square head. Is
Yeah,
that
he
what you're
reminds me of
thinking?
Beavis. I like
Okay,
him,
yeah,
but
got
he's
it.
got similar looking hair too. But either way, Superman covers are going to cost $8 from here on out. Yeah, that's the thing too. The prices are probably going to go up on these books, which sucks.
Yeah, you're gonna get the backup stories as well.
Nobody
You're gonna
asks
get a
for these things.
five page backup story about somebody. And like Lauren's talking about, like if you're getting a good Superman story, you're gonna get the side characters as well. And like rightly or wrongly, that's probably where we're gonna see some of them is that in the backup stories for the characters. And if they do good and they get good reviews or whatever, I suppose they could spin off after that. But
We shall see. Either way, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited.
mm-hmm,
Just the
absolutely.
Dawn of DC thing. There's a lot of good stuff there, I think.
Oh yeah, I don't I'm I read some of the Superman stuff, but just reading about the Dawn of DC and the Lazarus planet, and just like, oh man, they got some big plans early in the year, which is also interesting.
Oh yeah, they're hitting the ground running.
Yeah, it's not like summer stuff. It's
Mm-mm.
it's happening early, which I think is very interesting. Obviously, they did Future State early in the year a couple of years ago, but it's just that they're really going pretty heavy on the dawn of DC after Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. So
I didn't know this. Dan Jurgens is writing the Young John in one of the backups. That will be solid.
mm-hmm.
That'd be a good time.
You got a good profile picture there too, Glenn, on your YouTube account. I'm just looking at that.
Oh yeah,
you
that's
got
cool.
John and Clark right there. Very good.
I think that's Glenn. Isn't that your Twitter icon too? I think it is. I think so.
All right, Chris. Anything you're excited about to see next week? Like I talked about, there are some pretty heavy books next week. Is there anything that you can think of that you're excited to read next week?
I have no idea what's out next week.
All right. Well, how about
so I'll just kind
of Batman 130. It's the end of
that.
the failsafe run for Zdarsky. Yeah. Did you read the Batman and the Joker, the Deadly Duo?
No, but I think that's going to be on my list. I want to read that.
Issue 2 comes out next week. It's good. I think you really like that.
I have time to catch up then.
There you go. The final issue of Do a Powerbomb is next week. Issue 7. If you haven't got caught up, I think you should.
I might.
Are you still reading Bloodstained Teeth? Issue number 7 comes out next week as well.
Yeah, it's been delayed for like months, though. I forgot about it.
Yeah.
But yes, I will be reading that.
That's good. There was one
I got a few books.
There's another book I can't remember what it is now.
Probably maybe some Marvel.
What about watching? You getting excited to watch anything else? Anything coming up this week that you can think about? Anything releasing? New releases this week that you think?
No, I don't think so. I would like to finish the Newsreader. It's one season. So I'd like to finish that, and then I am hoping to watch the Santa Clauses.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're gonna watch? Oh, that's the show, right?
We're at the show.
Right.
I want to watch the series. I haven't had time, so I would like to get into that.
Nice. Yeah, it feels like I turned on TV today and there was just a Christmas show on TV. I'm like, oh, right. I should be watching Christmas movies. It's December.
Instead of horror. Also, I want to watch Troll. Troll is on Netflix.
I turned on Netflix today to watch Wednesday, and it was up on the screen. My son's like, what is that? I'm like, I have no idea, son.
That is what we're watching next.
Okay. Like, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, so I want to watch that too.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Yeah, right on.
Anything you're interested in other than Do a Powerbomb?
Yeah, Do a Powerbomb is the finale is next week of, we're still putting together our top movies, TV shows, and comics of the year. Maybe we can talk about that, Chris. We were going to do a top 5 for each.
Yeah, before we get out of here, let's go ahead and do that. So it is top 5, and the categories are what?
Favorite TV shows, top 5 TV shows, top 5 movies of the year, and then top 5 comics of the year.
Yeah,
it seems pretty simple.
So if you guys want to get us your list, that'll be fun. We could share and compare.
Yeah, so we're doing that show again on January the 8th, where we're doing our tops of 2022, which when you think about it, it's not that far away, just over a month away. So yeah, hit us up in Yeah. Hit us up in the comments with some of your favorites, guys, and join us on January the 8th when we talk all about that. I want to say thanks to Eric, Phil, Frank, Glenn, Grabs, Zeddy, Lauren, Cookie,
DC Patrol, Travis.
Anyone else I didn't think of, Chris? I think that's everybody.
I'm going through them.
Thanks
Ian
so much
was with us for a minute.
Ian, thanks so much for joining us on another Sunday evening.
And Aaron was with us.
Aaron said hi from the future.
He does.
Our main topic was going to be Superman. We talked about him for about 20 minutes and then rambled about other bullshit for the rest of the time. So that's kind of how it works around here. If you came for the Superman talk, we apologize. So thanks so much for joining us, guys. We'll be back again next week to talk about some other stuff, and we'll figure that out when it happens. Chris, before we get out of here, hit us up with some plugs.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at Dacra70. But as always, I prefer you guys follow the show over at G of the Geeks. Emmet is better with the other plugs, so he will take over from here.
You can follow me on Twitter at EmmettDavis7. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Just search Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us. We're going to have some interesting stuff coming up in our audio feed for the new year as well, guys. We'll be able to announce that hopefully soon within the next couple of weeks. So in saying all that, for Chris and I'm Emmet, we gather on Sundays.
Have a good week, guys. Where's it?